Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 26 of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful, cloudy, humid, and now rainy confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be listening or watching, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. I want to hop right into it. This is for my bird game today, my fellow Eagles fans. This episode 26, will be about the Eagles OTA news and notes. There was a press conference yesterday, 33 or 35 minute press conference yesterday. A lot of jam-packed information in there, going in about the Eagles and what the plans are for, the OTAs and the rest of minicamp and what training camp will possibly look like. Hopping right into it. Press conference was a little bit longer than what I expected. Usually they do like a 15, 20-minute press conference, but being that they had Saquon talking and Jalen Carter and a couple of other guys extended for a while, they talked to Jalen Carter, Saquon, Darius Slay, a bunch of other guys. But more importantly, I want to touch on Saquon Barkley first. Barkley looks happy, excited. He looks in great shape. He looks renewed. He looks like he has a vigor, a pep in his step. And it's great to see. He stated that he's ready to go. He said he feels like a rookie again, which to me, I think it spells great news for the Birds. If you're really thinking about it, you're really putting it into context, think about it. This man's been playing in an offense that's been shitty his whole career. You know, he's been the lead back. He's been the primary weapon in that offense. He has never really had a dominant receiver like an A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith to play with. Never really had a tight end like a Dallas Goedert that could really draw attention from him and allow him to operate within the passing game, i.e. a poor man's Christian McCaffrey. This has really got a great chance to work, and there's always gray area for failure, God forbid injury, God forbid just bad play, anything like that. But honest to God truth, I just don't really see that happening. I really think Saquon is going to be a huge addition for this offense. I really think that this offense is going to take the next step, especially with Kellen Moore and some of the additions that he's added. I'm going to get into that as well. We're able to take a chance to look at Kellen Moore's offense and some of the things schematically that he might be showing. But nonetheless, Saquon is just showing like he's the fucking leader and player that we've needed on this offense in that running back position. I know we've had Miles Sanders. I love DeAndre Swift a year ago, but this guy, in my opinion, is better than all of them. And he's the guy we needed to be able to get this offense to help take the next step, to get these guys back to a Super Bowl and possibly win it. Next was Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter said he looks great. Actually, I can tell you he looked great. I'm looking at some of the practice reps he was taking. He looks like his speed and his burst is there. He said that he worked highly on his conditioning this year, that, one of the things that he wasn't prepped for last year going into it is obviously being a college player. Season is shorter than what an NFL season is now. You have, 18 games compared to 12 or 13. An extra 5 games of wear and tear on you. What the middle of the season the NFL would do for a college player is typically where they are in their stretch run. So, it's great to hear that he's definitely in the proper conditioning and got the proper strength and wind speed that he needs, because we're going to need him to play a huge factor this year. No Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave's 2 years removed. So it's going to be huge to see Jalen Carter step up and make add more promise and, tack on, more stats to what he did off his rookie season. But basically he said he wants to be more explosive, and that's just the most important thing. He said the fundamentals they work on every day. So hand speed, hand fighting, things like that. That's things he's going to work on throughout camp. But nonetheless, his main focus is just getting faster and getting more explosive. He also spoke on Vic Fangio. He was asked, how do you like Vic Fangio? He said he loves Vic Fangio. He said that dude's old school. Darius Slay also talked about this. Several of the defensive players spoke highly about Vic Fangio. And a lot of this is coming off the comments from, I'm pretty sure you guys probably heard Javon Holland's comments in the media talking about Vic Fangio and, Jalen Ramsey's previous comments during the offseason about Vic. I'm going to be honest. Y'all, I played football. I played Little League and I played high school. I'm pretty sure some of y'all probably played, all of that plus college, if not some pro, semi-pro. Here's the thing, right? You ain't going to get along with all your fucking teammates and coaches. Some of the motherfuckers is going to rub you wrong. If the game plan is right and it's called helping us win games, I don't give a fuck. Me and you could literally hate the sight of each other. But if you're telling me to run this set, run this defense, play this particular solid coverage, shade this running back, rush and blitz in here, and I know that it's going to work, and I know that your name is highly touted, and I know that you come and you have a resume attached, I'm following whatever the fuck you saying. So to hear all that shit, I'm glad the Eagles players is like, yo, listen, I don't know really what happened there, but we can only talk about here. Jalen Carter even spoke to the fact that he worked out with some of the Miami players, and, he said that, didn't really hear too much bad. So not everybody's going to like you. So I wouldn't really get too overhyped over that. Like, oh, what do they mean? Vic's not a good dude. I don't give a fuck about Vic Fangio being a good dude. What I do give a fuck about, though, is him coaching that defense up so that way they're not as fucking horrible as they were a year before. Because that shit can't happen again. As an Eagles fan, that was one of the worst, I will reiterate again, one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen by that team in a stretch run. So, yeah, needless to say, happy as hell that the team's got Vic Fangio, and I'm happy that the players are happy that he's there. Leading next is Darius Slay. Darius Slay spoke extensively. He had one of the longer interviews. He spoke about cultivating the rookie defensive backs. He also spoke about James Bradberry and how he's in good spirits, and he's keeping his head held high, and he's going to do the same job as far as cultivating these guys. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. Bradberry not being there is not a huge red flag, because Bradberry don't really partake in the voluntary workouts like that. That being said, keep an eye on that June 1st post cut. The fact that he's not here, the fact that it's the end of May, it's getting close to that time, this would be the window where they could possibly get rid of him. Now, I do want to caution a lot of people, because there's a misconception out there where if they cut him, they're going to have a shitload of cap space. They won't. If they cut James Bradberry, it's only going to save them about $1.2 million in cap space. So there's not going to be a huge amount of savings there. This is more or less, okay, we really feel like these young guys are going to play, better and a higher level than you, and we just feel like it's not worth the money. Does Howie do that? It's capable. I believe he'll do it. Will it happen? Who knows? But good to see Slay, even talk about also too, this possibly being his last season, him not getting any younger and having to make decisions. And as I said in previous episode, I think this is Darius Slay's last season as a Philadelphia Eagle. It's just the writing's on the wall. It seems like everything is there. It seems like, the swan song for him is being written. I just hope that he can help deliver a championship and make his ride even more eventful going out. Next is we're going to get into the offensive side of the OTAs. Most notably, A.J. Brown did partake in the OTAs. Devontae Smith did not. Devontae Smith did take some time off. Lane Johnson, a couple of other guys as well. Nakobe Dean, he's still kind of recovering from that foot injury, so he was there present but didn't partake. Anaya Smith as well. But nonetheless, Paris Campbell got a lot of burn yesterday, and it showed early that he has a nice rapport with Jalen Hurts, which was shocking. I did not expect that, being that Paris Campbell just got there this year, but nonetheless, it seems that him and Jalen Hurts, have a nice rapport, that they're building a rapport together, and that's going to be crucial because, again, if you're going to have a guy like Paris Campbell getting burned, and he's, third wide receiver, Sirianni's used him in the offense before, kind of gotten the most out of him, we're going to need him to have a Quez Watkins season from what Quez did 3 years ago for all of this to be justified, because the fact that they didn't go out and get the third wide receiver that I thought they would have went out, maybe a Tyler Boyd, somebody else, they want a cheaper route. And I understand you're paying 2 wide receivers over $25 million. I get it. Nonetheless, you still need a third wide receiver. So I hope that's a great sign of things to come for Paris Campbell. I hope he continues to deliver because, we need a third wide receiver desperately, and him stepping up would be huge. Leading into another part of the offense, which I thought was also a great news of note, was seeing Kellen Moore's offense and seeing some aspects of what he was going to implement that may be different, obviously, from previous years from the Nick Sirianni offense. One thing early that I caught off the back was a lot of motion. They had A.J. Brown running in motion on a lot of plays, and that's going to get the defense's attention. When you got a guy like that running in motion, that's going to cause the defense to kind of, switch their attention, switch their pass coverage, which is going to open up the lane for possibly a running back or a tight end to get open, which is going to create another opportunity for a guy to get more touches and create more yardage up the field. It is great to see. They didn't really show too much, obviously, because cameras watching, it's OTAs. You're not really trying to show your hand too much. It's more or less install. But I liked what I saw on the one play that I was able to see where they had A.J. Brown running in motion. While he ran in motion, Hurts was able to locate a wide open Kenny Gainwell running out the flat. Because again, when you have a guy like A.J. Brown, big body wide receiver who can command attention already on the outside, he's now running in motion, possibly in the slot. I mean, my God, you have to pay attention to that. So now that's going to cause something else to shift, which is going to cause another guy to get open. Just another wrinkle that's going to add to the offense. It's going to potentially make this offense and this team more deadlier. I saw that the run pass option is still being utilized with Saquon. I saw Jalen and Saquon were working on that. It looks very fluid early. I think it'll look even better by September, which is great. It's great that those guys are already getting that chemistry with that. It just, again, adds a new element to the offense, something I think that's just going to be even more deadlier for teams to have to take into account. Most importantly, before I go to the defense and address the defensive news and notes, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts looked like he got his burst and his speed and his agility back. Something that he clearly was missing throughout the year last year. We all know that he was battling with a knee injury. He played through it, had the high turnover rate. Obviously, I think that's because he couldn't push or drive into a lot of those throws, couldn't take off at times when he probably felt he should have. Nonetheless, though, I can see that he's healthy and he's got his burst back, and we're going to need that. We're going to need that, obviously, for the stretch run. We're going to need that for him throughout the whole year. And if he continues at that pace and rate, he'll be back in the MVP conversation in no time. Switching to the defense, obviously, Nakobe Dean was being out because he had a foot injury. With him being out, interesting to see how Vic Fangio had the defense lined up. He had Devin White as a middle linebacker, which was essentially in the defense the Mike linebacker. Zach Bourne was the will, essentially the outside linebacker, something to see. And you even heard Vic Fangio mention a lot during his introductory press conference a couple weeks ago that Zach Bourne he could play a lot of outside. So this is something that, Vic Fangio has already been, visualizing and probably fantasizing about, setting up the lineups. And it's good to see that that's something that he's going to implement. It was also dope to see, too, with Bradbury being out. I was interested to see who was going to take the second corner spot. Isaiah Rodgers, a guy who was suspended all of a year ago, formerly of the Colts, didn't really know if he was going to be able to come back this year, and he made it back, so it was great to see. But he had got burned as a second team cornerback. He had a decent reps. He looked good. Didn't see or read or anything about him getting burned, but getting 7-on-7s, 11-on-11 drills. There's no tackling, so keep that in mind. But something to watch, though. Something to watch with him playing that on the outside, opposite the sleigh, with Bradbury being out. Going even further, Avonte Maddox was back in his normal spot in the slot, which leads me to my boy, Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean was the second-string nickel corner. Not a shock there, being that they said that him playing outside, having tight hips is kind of a liability. Having him in the nickel kind of suits his game. Old face, familiar place, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship, starting safeties. No shock there. Quinyon Mitchell was the second team starting defensive back, which, again, not a shock there. He seemed to be a little handsy on some plays, which you expect from a rookie, a guy finally playing against, some pros and having to go up against that type of competition. However, he held his own, and he was able to show those recovery skills and those pass deflection skills that made him a highly touted pick. Also, with other news and note that was very interesting, Britton Covey and Cooper DeJean took reps at punt returner. I've been highlighting this, guys, throughout the offseason that I think that Britton Covey, though he has played well the last 2 years, though last year was really his first real solid year playing together on special teams. Eagles were in the top 10 in special teams. The pressure is on now. DeJean had, performed a punt return drill where basically, you catch one ball, and then while the other ball is in the area, you have to throw up that other one, catch one, and then catch the other one. He was only successfully able to do it one time, but nonetheless, and good hand-eye coordination showed that he was able to have detail and able to fluidly to be able to catch the ball. Didn't really have any drops like that as far as punt returning. That competition is going to be interesting to see who's going to be a punt returner throughout the preseason, because I definitely think you're going to have Covey and DeJean play out a couple preseason games to see who can fluidly run that spot. And again, just shows you that he's going to have competition, which leads me into my final point. Final news and note about the Eagles from their OTA news and notes. Today, John Ross was signed after coming to the rookie minicamp tryouts, which you guys heard me report on. It was him, Jakeem Grant. I thought Jakeem Grant would have been the pick. Obviously, I don't know shit. So John Ross got signed. again, this is just another thing that Brayton Covey's going to have to keep an eye out for, because if John Ross got signed and they already have Cooper DeJoy actually practicing punts, that means your return ability is being threatened, man. They're going to try to utilize this aspect of the game to score points and really make it an aspect of their team to, get points. So very interesting to see. But nonetheless, I will be wrapping up the Eagles news and notes today. I thank you guys for always watching and listening. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Take care and enjoy.